now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Okay, good morning, folks. I'm trying to make sure that you can see me. We've got a little bit of a visual issue going on here. So let me just attempt to get that back up and going. Seems like we're getting no power to the camera. So just give me 1 second here. Let me see if I can actually figure out what is going on. My goodness. It's just one of those things where something likely got unplugged. So I had someone here yesterday, of course, doing some cleaning. So who knows what has happened. Let's see if we can get going here, folks. I'm assuming you guys can hear me. Good morning. Let me see what's going on with my camera. There we go. I think it was just there. And there was light. Now you guys should be able to see me. Okay. So a little technical glitch there, but good morning, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So we got a couple of things that we're going to be discussing this morning, but of course it is Fabulous Friday, and in keeping with Fabulous Friday, good morning to all of you fabulous people. So we have Ronika, who is tuned in. We've got Melita and Gabrielle, and we are going to be talking this morning about what transpired yesterday, because I know that you guys definitely want to know. So we're getting in deep. Good morning, Dawn. Thank you so much. Joy, beautiful Joy is here. We've got 2 Joys who have joined us, Joy Simpson and Joy Ebanks from Texas. So Joy is watching us from Richmond, Texas. Ingrid, good morning. Debbie, I know normally we have more than one Debbie tuned in as well. Jake says, I'm here for it, but only for about 45 minutes. Well, Jake, we're going to make it hopefully the best 45 minutes of your day. Morna, thank you. Gina, Petrula, just wanted to say good morning to my beautiful friend. Thank you so much, Petrula. I appreciate it. And of course, Cecile is joining us from the UK as well. So let's get this show on the road. First of all, congratulations. Hi, John. Another Karen has just logged in. So congratulations to me, Cayman's most notorious convict of the moment. I guess that's a fair comment. Everyone by now knows that I got convicted yesterday of harassing, they say, Matthew Leslie. And as you guys will remember, there was a podcast done back in February of 2019. It may have been either our first podcast, but definitely one of the very first podcasts that we did. And so we went hard at Matthew Leslie with the truth. And this trial was not about the truth. The judge made that very, very clear. He had no need to know whether anything I said was true or not. I'm going to try to break it down because I know a lot of you have been contacting me. You guys are really upset. And listen, I don't want you to get upset about this. At the end of the day, I sit here every day and I speak out against people who abuse and molest our children, against people who are in this community doing less than productive things as citizens that impact all of us. And does that mean that there's a price to pay for that? Of course there is. Tracy tuned in from New Zealand. Thank you, Tracy. Unfortunately, Tracy, we've been made to remove the podcast. Isn't that something else? So we have actually been made to remove the podcast. So incredibly interesting. The offending material at the start of this trial. So unfortunately, if you missed it, Tracy, yeah, it's gone from the various platforms. What can I say? This is how the system works. But you know, the allegations are fairly well known. Most of what was said about Mr. Leslie was a rehashing because this was like a compilation show. So if you guys remember at the time, there was this whole discussion about R. Kelly and how R. Kelly had gone for over 20 years with, in excess of 20 years, with questionable behavior that has followed him throughout all of those years. And a lot of that questionable behavior was directly connected to R. Kelly's sexual appetite for allegedly young and underage girls. And so, in very much the same vein, Matthew Leslie has had a number of allegations levied against him from 20 years ago when he was a young cadet in the RCIPS. And so what we did in this compilation, it was called, we basically named it after the R. Kelly expose. It was called Exposing, what's it called again? Exposing, give me 1 second, I'll tell you what it was called. Surviving Matthew Leslie. So it was just the same name, Surviving R. Kelly, was named that special. We did one called Surviving Matthew Leslie. And so we looked at his questioning behavior. We have tons of messages and evidence of girls saying all sorts of stuff. We looked at his financial failures, and there have been numerous, and there have been many. And so apparently the judge has ruled that the way in which we did that, calling him, for example, an alleged pedophile, calling him a narcissist and a scammer, that the way in which it was done crossed the threshold of what would be acceptable in terms of freedom of speech. So that's one judge's opinion for sure. We will be, in all likelihood, appealing this decision. And there were a number of things going into this trial that had me concerned from the onset. And now I can freely, talk about those things. So the first one is my attorney was less than, in my opinion, fully competent to handle this trial. I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. So we would have a discussion about, okay, this is what, in my opinion, needs to be brought out by way of cross-examination of this witness. Or when the police officer took the stand, for example, I gave my attorney 3 questions in the courtroom that should have clearly demonstrated that we were not in agreement with what the police officer was saying in his live testimony. So the 3 questions were given. They were so poorly delivered, apparently, that even the judge was like, oh, okay, so this this witness is not saying anything that you don't agree with. And I'm thinking, am I in an alternative universe at this particular moment? I said, absolutely not, Your Honor. I don't know what miscommunication is going on here, but I've just given my lawyer three questions, at least three questions, that shows exactly where we disagree, we diverge with what this police officer is saying. That just didn't come across. The judge had provided certain instructions and said, okay, XYZ. And for whatever reason, my lawyer seemed to struggle with what the issues, the central issues were that he needed to bring forward in this case to present to the judge for consideration. So unfortunately, if you're not bringing forth the right, legal arguments, you're going to have an issue with your defense. And that was also problematic on every single occasion. So there were instances, even up to yesterday, we had a discussion the day before. We went into court. I'm expecting, okay, if we get a guilty verdict, we've agreed that this is the game plan, and that doesn't happen. And I'm sitting there going, but we just spoke yesterday about if this happens and this is what it is, that doesn't happen. Then after the fact, my lawyer's saying to me, oh, well, I've decided against that in the moment with no consultation from me, his client. And I'm just like, okay, we got a problem. And just general competency issues, nice enough guy, but, some of the arguments, the legal arguments put forward, the judge was just like, stop it, stop it, stop it. Putting forward evidence, the judge was like, that's not how you submit evidence. So I was disappointed, surely, in my legal representation. And the judge actually made a comment yesterday during his summing up, where basically he touched on very slightly the concerns he had with defense counsel. And he claims that, he gave a lot of leeway, I guess, to try to compensate for that. But is there ever enough leeway to compensate for poor representation? Probably not. So the other critical thing for this case, thank you, Marion, joining in from the UK, is the offense that I was charged with required no intent. I know I tried to explain this to you guys yesterday, but it is an offense that only required really that I should have foreseen that this could have harassed, annoyed, or whatever the other term is, Mr. Leslie. So that's important because what that says about this offense in terms of the mental element that is required to make out a case is it's very low. It's like a low-hanging fruit. It's easy for the prosecution to get a win, to be quite frank, on this particular section of the ICTA law. So a lot of you have reached out to me. I mean, thank you so much, first of all, for the support. The support has been overwhelming. I have received phone calls. I mean, I had people call me from overseas saying how they were crying. And listen, your support has been more than heartfelt, more than amazing. And I want to thank you guys for it. But at the same time, I want you to not get overly agitated by this verdict and by this situation. It simply isn't worth it. I've spoken, I've said my piece. Everyone knows that my position has not changed. And in fact, I am more resolved now than ever before from the perspective that, listen to me, if I have been able to prevent one young lady in this community from becoming a victim, if I have been able to prevent one business owner from loaning him $100,000 or even a single dollar under the misguise of it would get paid back, then I have done my job. If the DPP, if the government of the Cayman Islands want to lock me up for that, they got space in Fairbanks for me, so be it. I mean, honestly, there are people who've done far worse and have never ended up in Fairbanks. So if they decide on October the 6th, that they are going to put me in jail for what they say I have done, that I have harassed Matthew Leslie, and that requires an incarceration. Believe me when I tell you, they will not be hurting me personally in any way, shape, or form. That's really the truth. So, whatever they think will make them feel good, whatever they think will make Mr. Leslie feel good. He's been all over social media already, as you guys know how he is. He lives a very public life on social media. And I'm going to bring up some of his comments here because I do want to address some of those. And of course, he gets away with a lot. He gets away with pretty much saying everything he has to say about me. And that's okay. No one's going to charge him for harassment. No one's going to say, okay, Matthew, enough is enough. He just gets to continue to do what he does. So, of course, he always tries to portray this persona of, oh, I really want peace here now. I want this, I want that. And so in typical Matthew fashion, he got on social media yesterday, and I'm going to show you the messages here. And he posted this post about, oh, I hope this is the end of this now and we can just move on. So let me just show you some of these. And I do want to address a few of the commenters, including Velma Hewitt, who decided to chime in as usual. So we know that there's certain people in this community who have an issue with me. Velma, unfortunately, is one of those people. And her issue with me stems from the fact that she's a Trump supporter. And when she was on my personal page, a couple of times we would buck heads on her being a Trump supporter. I'm of the opinion that both Velma and her husband verge on being racist, despite the fact that Velma is a person of color. And a person of color can still be racist. I mean, let's against their own. So let's, have no bones about that. Big shout out to Debbie from the BRAC. So Debbie actually commented on I think this was on Leslie's, on Matthew's, what's it called? On Matthew's thing. And Debbie says, I totally love and support Sandra. Bring on the nasty comments. So I'll show you guys some of these comments. So yes, I'm going to show you guys some of what he's been going on and on about. Some of the comments really had me quite amused, to be honest, because people see the irony in what is happening in this country, and people certainly see the irony of what's happening with this conviction. And yes, it is ironic that of all of the cases, I think this is case number 7 now, if I'm not mistaken, right? Maybe 6. I've honestly lost count. That the DPP has brought against me. They've been unsuccessful, in every single case. And the one successful case is actually with Matthew Leslie as the quote unquote victim. For those of you who really know the real score here and who know Matthew and who, have contacted me about him messaging your underage girls and so forth, are just like, this is absolutely crazy. It's ironic for sure. It really, really is. Is Matthew a victim? I mean, really? Wow. Let's have a look at what he did yesterday. So again, he puts up this huge message. Let's read his message first, and then we'll go through some of the comments and address some of the commentary. So he says in his post that today marks the close of a disturbing chapter of what he claims is almost 3 years. I don't know where he gets that from, because the podcast in question is from January of 2019. So of course he's always stretching the truth, which is okay apparently for him to do. I think what he is trying to refer to is the numerous other articles that we have done in Matthew, which have remained on our platform and have remained very much, undisputed in terms of, there was even one called The Diary of a Sexual Predator. It's still on the website, folks. Go and read it and have a look. I mean, he may now run to the DPP and try to get this down. But for the young lady who just asked me about the podcast was interesting because of the format in which it was done. But surely, if you guys simply go to the website and you have a look at the lawsuits, all the other stories essentially that have been written about Matthew Leslie, you'll get a picture of what's going on, where maybe you don't need to see the podcast. Yeah. So he goes on to say, my apologies, let me just read what he says. Today marks the close of a disturbing chapter of my life. Almost 3 years of dealing with a woman intent on assassinating my livelihood, my life, my emotions, and my reputation. I just want to say thank you to everyone who always supported me and encouraged me along the way. To my family, my friends, my supporters, Gigi, no clue who Gigi is, my legal team, other victims of her attacks, and the DPP. Justice was served today. I will continue to pray for Sandra. Of course he will. And may this be a turning point in her life. May she use this time to reflect and understand that her words and wrongs will not go unchecked any longer. There are consequences for all actions, really, Matthew, but also may be used to better myself as a person as well. No one is perfect. May those harmed by her in the past also see there's a small victory for themselves as well, and may God continue to bless our Cayman Islands. So there's so much that I could say about this that is a bit funny and more than ironic. He claims that I am intent on assassinating his character, his livelihood. We've reported on his lawsuits, and he's been sued by numerous people over the years, including his own grandmother. This is all a matter of public record. So the question becomes, a man who is sued, and these lawsuits are available online for you guys to go and see, how does putting that information, which is already in the public domain, as a point for discussion, impact his livelihood, his life, his emotions, or his reputation? Well, I tell you how it happens. It happens because here in the Cayman Islands, we have a very convenient memory, and we forget things very, very quickly. And so we are always happy to quickly, move past a situation, or hope that no one ever saw the comments, And I thought that I have had businessmen in the Cayman Islands contact me and say, "Hey, Sandy, I see where, you have given us information about an insurance payout in relation to Mr. Leslie, and he's now approached me for a business loan. What's your opinion on this? Do you think I should loan him $50,000, $100,000?" I say, well, listen, the truth of the matter is, it depends on how you look at a loan. If you are happy to loan Mr. Leslie money, knowing that you will never get it back, then so be it. I mean, everyone has a choice. So we have people like Ryan Ebanks, and you guys will remember Ryan. He was the one who, let me just pull this one up. I think this is him. Yes. he was the one who was coming to court um, to make sure that he saw my case. Ryan has had a beef with Cayman Mall Road from the onset. He's been making fun of us and harassing us for many years since Cayman Mall Road got started. We have his numerous messages that we could share, but again, this is one of those things where everybody else wants to claim that, oh, they're being harassed, and then when they send us messages or when they do things to us that are harassing, oh, it's okay because you're in the public eye or you've put yourself out there as a news media, so the same rules don't apply to you apparently. But Ryan would be very, very surprised to know exactly what rules apply. So he constantly comes after CMR with his vendetta. And him and George Ebanks, George is another one that has some axe to grind. And listen, some of these people, I know precisely why they have an axe to grind. In the case of Ryan, he is just idle. He's supposed to be, I think, having a baby, or the girlfriend has already had the baby. And he is so incredibly idle that every single thing that CMR does, he continues to make it an issue for him when it really shouldn't be. I mean, he's been blocked on our page for a long time, but he just keeps at it. Even when his family members are like, Ryan, what is your issue here? They're saying that something's wrong with him because he just is obsessed with me, I guess, and with CMR, and he just keeps coming and coming and coming. So no surprise that he would jump in and have a comment on this. And he shared a big thing on his page. Oh, a guilty verdict. Fantastic, blah, blah, blah. I find it funny and ironic that a person like Ryan, a person like Velma, never comments when drug dealers are convicted, when child molesters who will go after their own children are convicted, when murderers in this community are convicted. They have nothing to say. But because it's me and because it's Cayman Mall Road, Velma, because we've had to block her, sorry, my apologies, because I've had to personally block her from my page. She got upset by that because apparently, despite not liking anything I had to say about Trump, she always wanted to be there to read it. So how dare I block her from my personal page and not give her the opportunity to comment on every single thing that she wants to say so that she can have a wider audience than what is actually on her own personal page. So these are the axes that people have to grind. It's petty. I get that it's petty. Listen, sometimes I indulge in the petty myself, So yes, have I gotten petty with Ryan Ebanks? Of course I have, because it's harassment and it's annoying when he shows up to every little thing and he's sitting there messaging his friends, oh, well, I'm here now by Sandra's and blah, blah, blah. I mean, he's so absolutely ridiculous that he goes around accusing his football WhatsApp friends of sending me his messages and how they're betraying him. It's like, the reason why they're sending me your messages, Ryan, is because they think what you're doing is stupid, that it verges on stupidity. They don't agree with you. They don't agree on you stalking me every opportunity that you get. So here's Velma's comment. She says, praising God with you, Matthew, praising God with your gamma, Ella Archibald. Oh my God, Ella Archibald, the same Ella Archibald that sued her own grandson for non-payment of a loan where she had to borrow money from her retirement fund. I wonder if Miss Velma would have assisted Miss Archibald, Miss Ella, if she would have assisted her in paying her bills because Matthew borrowed money that he never repaid from her. His own grandmother. Ironic. Prayers for your continued success, she says. And as you so rightly said, it's also a chance for self-reflection because that's the best outcome for all of this 3-year-long battle. Again, this has not been a 3-year-long battle. This podcast came out in January of 2019. They took almost 8 months to even charge me. I knew nothing about it. So how this becomes a 3-year-old battle, only God knows. Then she says, and yes, I too pray for Sandra. Velma, please. Hypocrisy is not becoming. She's got some good in her, as Mama taught us. There's a little bit of good in the worst of us, she claims, and a little bit of bad in the best of us. It's the good in her that needs to be at the forefront, not digging for and exposing other skeletons. Perhaps she should discard the blog and start a school and teach, as that would serve the community better. What I want to say to Velma, and then she goes on about even tutoring will serve our community better. Her latest embarrassments of late in court should be a wake up call. I want to ask Velma, who's run for political office in this country, what has she done? You know, what has she done? She's talking about what I should do to help this community. I would love to know what Velma has ever done for anybody else but herself and her own self-serving agenda, political agenda. Because maybe Velma doesn't know because she doesn't care. I have had a teaching business for almost 20 years. I have offered free training to NAU clients. I have offered free training to anyone who would come to the public library and take introduction to computer training, etc. Velma, use your fingers and do a Google search, and it is all there for you to see. So you offering your suggestions, less than helpful suggestions that are obviously misinformed, have no bearing whatsoever on what I have done, because you don't even know what I've done. I've done all of those things and so much more to help people in this community. And I have to wonder, since you want to be the purveyor of, what someone should do, the question becomes, what have you have done? Absolutely nothing. That's what you've done. Self-serving and done absolutely nothing. So maybe, the best thing for you to do at this particular stage, Velma, is to stay right where you are in the United States of America with your husband and just try not to catch COVID and relax yourself. That's what I would recommend for Velma if I were giving her advice. And she's in the business of giving advice, let's tool out a little bit of that advice. And then we have people like Linda Connolly says, best news I hear for the year. Poor Linda. Linda's the same person who, again, we have had, unfortunately, to report on some of her shenanigans. And it's like people get upset because we report the truth. Linda, it was not my fault. It was not Kim and Maru's fault that you got fired from your job at BritK because you were trying to put voodoo on your coworkers. See, this is what I'm telling you, right? People do things and they don't want to be held accountable. This is the best news, she said, that she has heard. So when her employers hold her accountable for continuing to put voodoo and some kind of witchcraftery on the desk of her coworkers and sprinkling all kind of stuff on their workstations, this causes her to lose her job where she was with for many, many years. Somehow we have something to do with that, or we're to blame for that. Somehow it is everybody else's fault. And this is what I find amazing and astonishing. So, I read the comments, like I said, with most of them are amusing because, of course, these are people who have been on more than one occasion. Again, an axe to grind. George Ebanks. What's George's axe to grind? Let's be honest, folks. He posted, I hear that my friend Matthew Leslie won big today, puts that in caps, in Grand Court. Persons like CMR just cannot be and must not be allowed to defame and malign people's character. Okay, so this case wasn't even about defamation, George. Again, woefully misinformed. The truth was not, the judge said, he was not concerned about the truth of the allegations at all. So why George, who's supposedly an intelligent person, is using words like defame, only God knows, because this case had nothing to do with the truth. It had nothing to do with defamation. The judge essentially ruled that you can harass someone with the truth. So the truth of what you say has nothing to do with it. Why is George upset with us? Let's be honest. I'm going to tell you why. Last election, George attempted to run for public office. Myself personally, I commented in the post and I said, and this is way before CMR existed, I said, actually, George is ineligible to run for public office because he was convicted of fraud. There are certain offenses in the Cayman Islands that permit you or prevent you, my apologies, from ever running for public office again. Check the elections law. Anything that falls under the category of a dishonest offense, fraud, theft, whatever the dishonesty offenses are. If you get convicted of that, George himself a convict, you will never be eligible to run for public office. The irony of that is I've been convicted of harassment and I can run for public office if I want. George, who forged a document that was then submitted on behalf of a client that the client knew nothing about to the immigration department, has been convicted in a court of law for fraud. And so therefore, he has been banned, prevented from ever running for public office again. So when I made that, what I consider again, public information, anyone who had read the article, but he was planning on running for public office, I was confused. I'm like, how can he run for public office when he has this conviction? He got upset. Wow. The truth seems to upset a lot of people in the Cayman Islands. I mean, people really take offense to the truth. My God. Absolutely amazing, right? And more recently, he was in a Newlands group, and he was making some comments again, going on and on and on obsessively about Cayman Law Road. And I said to him, I said, George, you have a history, fairly well known actually, of allegedly being a wife beater. Okay? Your own partners have spoken about it to various people in their lives. The allegation, talk on the Law Road, is that they have had to leave you for fear of their own lives. My comment in that Newlands chat group was, instead of you obsessing about Cayman Law Road and what we're doing, why don't you work on those very serious character flaws? So it's acceptable for people to go around beating women and plummeting women, going after your children, stealing your money, scamming you out of your money. But it's not acceptable for me to simply say, this is what it is. This is the truth. It's not acceptable for me to call a spade spade. Well, folks, if that is the case, I would dare say you guys need to sit back and watch and listen for many more convictions to come. Because what transpired yesterday will not stop me from speaking the truth. What transpired yesterday has only strengthened my resolve that this country needs a wake-up call in the most serious of ways. If we cannot speak the truth, if we cannot have that freedom of expression, that freedom of speech that is entrenched in the Bill of Rights and protected in the Bill of Rights, what do we have? It is no wonder that you guys are fearful of speaking up in your workplace for fear of retaliation. It is no wonder that you are afraid for speaking up in community groups or even in your own households and your own family. I get that there is a heavy price to pay, but I also get that as someone who has been blessed with the broadest of backs, that it is my responsibility to change the narrative in this country on this particular topic. And if that means me getting convicted every other week, if that means me going to Fairbanks or make a permanent cell, I want it engraved with my name, where I can go there and sit down and relax, make the government feed me and the government take care of me, then so be it. It will be what it's going to be. And I have said so many times in this program, and I want to thank someone yesterday for saying she's right where she it's supposed to be. I always say that here in the program. And they're absolutely right. I am right where I am supposed to be. That is right. Absolutely 1,000% accurate. So again, there's a Helen Jones here going on about, she's sending me a private message. I don't even know who Helen is or what she's going on about. There were, Justin says Sandra's hilarious to me. A lot of what she says is satire. It's so funny. If you take life too seriously, you may get offended. People don't get offended if they have nothing to hide. So Debs and the Brack says, I totally love and support Sandra. Bring on the nasty comments. Linda says, when can we start the case against McKeeva? And Tara Leslie says, damn straight. So again, these are the issues that we have no concern about. This is what people don't understand. They don't care. So Linda goes on to say in her comments, I don't know if I have this one. Let me see here. Hold on one second. Yes, I'm talking about Mary Brown. Of course, is trying to defend the ridiculous. Linda says, I'm talking about the online harassment. McKeever has harassed many Caymanians online on Facebook posts open for all to see. As the Speaker of the House, his position is to remain neutral, and in such a position for this country should treat all citizens with respect. And again, Mary doesn't care about McKeever. And Linda says, what you're basically saying, it sounds like you are saying that bullying is okay for some and not for others. Whereas I disagree. Of course it is. We see that all the time. If I ran to the police every single time someone bullied me, and trust me, there have been some that have been, you talk about being over the top, they have been beyond ridiculous. The police wouldn't have a chance to solve any other crimes. But I understand, and I quite get it, that when you put yourself in the public domain, as I have, that you open yourself up to criticism, even potential bullying. And so I'm just seeing something here. Seems like somehow someone have spammed us, like they're sending an email that is actually, they've done this to the Compass already, but they've sent an email that is not actually from us. So, bye, baby. I love you. Mwah. My little daughter's off to school. She likes to come by the window before she's leaving, says, bye, mommy. I love you. And listen, there is nothing better than that in the world. And that is why I get up every single morning and I fight more than I ever fought before to protect people like that young lady. So, yeah, I'm trying to get, I'm trying to understand. There's somebody who's sending out a fake message. It says something about, someone just sent me a screenshot of it here. This is definitely not from CMR, so please do not click on this link if you receive this message. So like I said, they've done this to Let me just check my web guy and see what's going on here. All right, so we're on this. So we'll see if we can. I think they're, I don't know if they're spamming. It looks like all Candy Wacky email addresses. So somehow this person has infiltrated, because I don't see any other email addresses, funny enough. They either sending it to Gmail or Candy Wacky. And I think Flo might want to check on this, because they're using our name and platform to say that we have sent this message, which we haven't. So I just messaged my web guy. Good morning, Mitzi, honey. So yeah, these are all the things that on the back end we have to be dealing with, right? The scammers are constantly on high alert and doing the most that they can do. So I'll show you guys this message, because if you receive this message, I'm going to put this up here urgently. This is not a message from us. This is not an email from us. And I'm trying to see if we can figure out the address, but they're using our email address and trying to, perpetrate that this is coming from us, which it clearly is not. It says, Deputy Premier and Tourism Minister Moses Kirkconnell made the announcement that the reopening of Cayman Islands borders will begin this month, August. Kindly read for the following details. And of course, again, that's not from us. So do not click on that link, folks. Do not click on that. Give me one quick second here. All right, folks, so I'm just going to post this up on our social media platform. So this is a fake story, not from CMR. So and again, it looks like it's targeting Candy Wacky or Flow customers who still have those old email addresses, like Candy Wacky at whatever, at Candy Wacky, sorry, .ky. So we will certainly give me one second here. I'm just trying to I want to make sure I don't share this person's email address, actually. Yeah, so this is a bit of fake information. This is a bit of fake news. Sometimes when you get these messages, you need to be, you need to look at, what's called the, look up at the top, you see where it says Cayman Mall Road. If you click on that, this is the kind of stuff that we're going to start covering in our Tech Thursday segment, sorry. But if you click on that, you'll actually see that isn't coming from tips at Cayman Mall Road. I haven't received the message because I don't have a Candy Wacky email address. So I don't actually know where it's coming from. So I've just asked this person if they could send to us what this is all about. So we'll see if we can get that information and naturally share it with you guys, because once again, folks, knowledge is power. You want to protect yourselves as much as possible. So this purports to be coming from us, but it is not coming from us. So I think that there's probably little that we can do except to warn people. And then it is Flo who probably needs to address this, because somehow someone has infiltrated their infiltrated, my apologies, their system here. So we will advise them as quickly as we can as well. Yeah, that's all that we can do, folks. You gotta be informed, you gotta be knowledgeable. Let me read some of your comments. Thank you guys so much. My apologies. Yvette, Ramika, thank you for tuning in. Tracy, again from New Zealand. Cecile says happy Friday. GB, she's in the UK. It's a beautiful day here, and listening to you makes it even more beautiful. Thank you, Cecile. Barbara Campbell is tuning in from Paris. I think Barbara's still in Paris. She travels around a little bit. Nikisha, thank you. She says, stay strong. Thank you for that. You have no idea. We all have our moments. No one is strong all the time. But I can tell you, going into this, I think I said this even before the verdict on yesterday's show, this to me was a very 50-50 case. This could have gone either way, and there were a number of factors that did not make it favorable to me. So mentally and emotionally, I was ready for a guilty verdict. I did not respond in any way, shape, or form. Again, when you know you're doing the right thing, I remember my very first case back in, I think it was 2009, 2010. That's where it all started with me in the DPP's office. So apparently I was not a criminal until I hit like almost 40, right? So they accused me of stealing a dog. Nothing could have been further from the truth. That case got thrown out ceremoniously. And I remember when the judge threw it out, and I defended myself, and it was the first time I'd done anything like that. I was nervous. I was, just a hot mess. I was so emotionally involved in that case in terms of the dog. I grew to love this dog who had been abused, neglected, damaged. I just really put my heart on the line for this dog. And at the same time, I was being accused of doing something that I knew I hadn't done. I had done everything right in that case. In fact, trying to find the owner, advertised it on 6 different platforms. The owner did nothing, but yet I was still the one who ended up in court. So at the end of that trial, when the judge issued his verdict, he threw it out. I literally cried like a baby. It was such a release of just what had been a stressful situation, to the point where I didn't know what else to do but cry. And it sounds weird, but that's exactly what I did. In this case, there will be no tears shed. I had someone from overseas call me, oh my God, Sandy, I was crying. And I'm like, listen, honey, please don't shed a tear on this. This is, in my opinion, a frivolous case. This man was not harassed. He may have been annoyed, for sure, that the truth was coming out about him. But I don't want you to cry for me. I'm not crying for me, and I don't want you to cry for me. We have more important issues in this country that we need to be shedding tears over. So please, don't cry. We are standing together on this issue. We will be victorious one way or the other. I will continue to be your voice. I don't know if Rosanna is here. Rosanna, are you in the stream this morning? Poor Rosanna is like, oh my God, does this mean that CMR is going to get shut down? Rosanna, that's what they want, and it's not going to happen. You know why it's not going to happen? Because they can bring every lawsuit in the world. And if there comes a time when I say, okay, Cayman really isn't for Caymanians, and they will lock me up indefinitely or whatever they want to do. I will pack up my little stuff, go back to the UK. I've never been to the UK, by the way. So I should say go to the UK, go to the United States of America, where I enjoy complete freedom of speech almost. And I will set up shop there and I will have my podcast from there. I will host my platform from there. And Cayman Mall Road will still cover all breaking news in the Cayman Islands from the USA. So fear not. They will never shut Cayman Mall Road down. The day Cayman Mall Road gets shut down won't be because of anything like that. So don't worry. Thank you, Morna. Sue is in Caibo. Looks like she's doing a little bit of staycation. And she says it's a beautiful start to her day. Maureen, appreciate the love and support. Tamara says, you are a Mandela. Keep up the good job. But listen, I am not going to compare myself to the Gandhis of the world, the Mandelas of the world. Those people put their lives on the line for freedoms and what people didn't want to give them, which was a God-given right. So I'm not putting myself in the same category. Appreciate your love and support. I'm just a small nut here in the Cayman Islands trying to make a little bit of a difference, the ripple effect. Leslie from, is it Fort Lauderdale, Leslie? Leslie's in Florida. Hi, Carla. Fabulous Friday to you. Anne says he's a predator and manipulator. His own staff have stories of harassment, just a matter of stance with him. Those who know, know. Those who know, know. Again, the truth was not on trial here. Not at all. Anne says the myriad of legal fixes a Band-Aid couldn't cover. The wounds inflicted need fresh air to heal. The court has problems to the core and can't take when a nerve is struck. Yadilia, I think that's how we pronounce it, says bendiciones, Sandra, bendiciones. That means like God be with you, blessings. Jonathan is here for it. Good morning, Jonathan. Jonathan says facts. Lisa, loving you, girl. No, we love you, Lisa. Thank you. Dawn says, morning, Sandra. God will take care of you. Yes. So Lisa wants to know what the consequences are. This is a good question about whether or not I'm going to be put in jail. Well, the law does say, in all fairness, that this section of the penal code, this section of the ICT law carries with it up to 2 years imprisonment and or a fine. I think it's up to $25,000 or something. I just got a message from someone saying, if you need help with your legal fees, we are here for you. So please let us know. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Hi, Rosanna. I see you now. Thank you for tuning in. So Lisa, to answer your question, jail is certainly a possibility. Do I think that a section of the law that has never put anybody in jail, but here's the irony of this, you got to pay attention to this one because this one is kind of very ironic. The only person that has ever gone to jail under Section 90 of the ICTA law has been Atto Stevens, a child predator. So the court would be sending a very interesting message. And the DPP's office, we don't know what they've requested yet because they will put an argument before the judge to say, oh, well, this is what we're going to request happen to her. And we know this woman, this DPP woman, Diane Oko, whatever her name is, has been going hard at me the entire time. So would it surprise me if she requested a jail sentence? Nope, it wouldn't. I have taken command of the case from here. Like I said, I fired my lawyer. And so I will be handling my own sentencing hearing. So I'll do all the traditional stuff, character references, the whole 9 yards. Mr. Leslie will do a victim impact statement. So he's going to go and talk about how this has impacted him. And the judge will have to make a decision from there. So I'll keep you guys updated. As usual, we will be the first to tell you what happens on sentencing day. I've never been convicted of anything in my life. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I work hard. I don't scam people. I don't molest anybody's children. There's so many things that I do not do. I may be offending people and allegedly or convicted now of harassing people with the truth. But is that enough to send me to jail? We shall see. I doubt it. And in fact, just last week, we saw people convicted of defrauding the Cayman Islands government or failing to report frauds on the Cayman Islands government. And they walk away with nothing that is going to be permanently recorded on their record. So we need to look at some sentencing guidelines for sure to see exactly what that means. Do they have space in Fairbanks for someone accused of harassment? I have no clue. But let me tell you something, folks. If we go to Fairbanks, that will be the most lit platform for CMR because we can get all the inside scoop and how the inmates are being abused and mistreated, allegedly. And I tell you what, that is going to be quite the story. Good morning, Sophia. Louis, TGIF, yes, thank you so much. Lisa says she was worried yesterday when I saw it and I started to message you. Glad that you have a backup plan. There's always a backup plan. Morning, Scott. Trust me, honey, there's always more than one way to skin a cat, as them old people used to say. And this will not be stopped. And I am committed to what we do here in Cayman Mall Road. And I tell you the truth, if that commitment, if that means that I got to move one day to continue to bring you all of the news, then it'll happen without any fear. And then I want to see this kind of a trial happen in the US with these results. It would never happen. It would never happen in the United States of America. The UK pretends to want to protect freedom of speech, but that's just the guys. Charlene says, good morning, Sandra. You're an amazing, educated Black Cayman female, and we love you. Keep doing your thing, and God bless. And God knows it all, and like him, we got you. For one is grateful for all you do. I, for one, is grateful for all you do. Thank you, Charlene. Really appreciate it. Leslie says she's in Vero Beach, Florida, here to stand with you and to send you positive vibes. The prosecutor has a vendetta. She chose to bring charges that had such a low bar. If she couldn't make this, she needed to find a new job. And Matthew Leslie showed his true predatory colors with his spurious claim. He leveraged the might of the DPP's office and their grudge against you. Touche, very good point. He came after you sideways. His cowardice is duly noted. That I could not have said any better myself. Janine, how are you? Where are you, Janine? I think you're overseas as well, right? So many Caymanians have had to leave Cayman in order to just survive. Isn't it crazy? Lynette says, oh my God, I have known this for years. I told him out a few years ago on Facebook and Messenger for the same things and made his wife know too. I won't get into details, but I'm really happy you exposed him. He is definitely a predator. You know, there are people who know, and then there are people like the DPP's, whatever her name is, Darlene, who don't know what we're dealing with here. And it's amazing the people that they can stand up and talk about what a wonderful character they have, or it's okay, you know, because we're more concerned that you're harassing someone who's predatory, allegedly predatory. So maybe one day she'll have the pleasure of being in his company alone, and she'll get to taste that medicine for herself. We shall see. So thank you. This is another person who has messaged privately to say, Sandy, I've got, oh, sorry, hold on, wrong message. They said, hang on a sec. You mean no investigation was done on the points you raised on Leslie, especially the child pedo thing? I can't understand. If this is what you uncovered, then why no investigation, no follow up? Well, it's very, very simple, actually. The victims themselves have to be the ones who file a report. I see someone commenting about this page again out of the BRAC. We reported this page before, and they've done nothing about it. This is Facebook again. There's so many things in place that seem like they protect predators, right? So nothing was done by Facebook. And I see someone just sharing it again. Facebook has done nothing. Listen, just because the establishment say X or Y, that doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it, what it is. We'll report the page again, but there's some BRAC page where the person is focused on posting sensualized pictures of very young girls. There's so much sick stuff that is going on in our country that, believe me, I just, the world over is crazy. John says, did they tell you you can't mention his name anymore or something like that? No, John. I mean, I think what this case was all about from the onset is that he was hopeful, and he kind of alluded to it in his thing, like, oh, let's just move past this. He's hopeful that this case will somehow have scared me into never reporting on him again if he does something, or never mentioning his name again. The government can't put a permanent gag order on me or anybody else for that matter, no matter how many cases they bring against you. So I think that may have been the real goal, John, of this case in the first place, was to put the fear of God in me that, oh my God, I got convicted of harassing Matthew Leslie, so I'll never speak about him ever again. No. The last question on cross-examination that the DPP's representative asked me was exactly that. Regardless of the outcome of this case, you will continue to talk about Mr. Leslie, weren't you? And I'm thinking, is that why I'm here? Am I here for something I actually did, allegedly, in February of 2019? Or am I here to try to prevent me from doing something in the future? Those are two very different things, folks, right? Now, if I allegedly, and now I've been convicted of harassing Mr. Leslie, that is to punish me for something they claimed that I did back in 2019, in February 2019. That has no bearing whatsoever going forward. So I said to her, I said, like anybody else in this society, if Mr. Leslie does something that is newsworthy, if Mr. Leslie does whatever and he makes it in the news again, of course we will report on Matthew Leslie. So I don't even understand the question. I know what you're trying to do. And so if you're trying to forewarn yourself about whether or not you'll be able to put a permanent gag order on these lips, as big as they are, I can assure you that it is not happening. So John, it's a good question. And I think it's a question that a lot of people are definitely mulling over. So there are a lot of people who are like, is this what this case is really all about? Trying to silence CMR? Yes, that's exactly what it's all about. Will it work? Absolutely not. As I have said, Miami is just a stone's throw away. It is the easiest thing in the world to actually jump on a flight and go to Miami. Even during COVID, I can get out, folks. I can get on the plane and I will go about my business and I will still be bringing the cold hard truth from Miami, Florida. I have to change my intro music though. Reporting live from Miami, Florida, on behalf of the Cayman Islands, where we have no real voice. Here we go. So, yes, that's what it is. And I think we can move on from this topic now. I will continue to update you guys. You know, you need to be in the know. You need to know what's going on. So naturally, after yesterday's verdict, we were the first to advise you of the verdict. And not just advising you of the verdict, also, you know, making sure that you understood what transpired, because I think a lot of people haven't been fully following it. And so they were a little bit confused in any event on what had actually transpired and what was going on. And, you know, so we wanted to ensure that we brought you all of those details. So yes, we will continue to shed a light on the situation and keep you in the loop. So it is Friday. I don't think we're having a press conference today. None has been announced. I'll double check here in a second. We haven't had one now for at least 3 weeks. And I guess there's not much for them to say. Let me see if I can confirm during the course of this program whether or not there will be a press conference. So remember when we got used to how times have changed, huh? I was talking to someone yesterday actually about how life has changed, and we were all sort of talking about how, you know, during COVID, everyone is just, you'd gotten this frame of mind where you were so getting used to just being locked up and confined that when you finally got your freedom again, some people didn't even want to venture out. Like they're still doing pickup and running back home and just eating their pickup, right? So they're like, no. I don't really want to like go out amongst people. And so it's kind of a new norm. So, you know, someone just sent me a really funny message about Miss Velma, poor thing. Sometimes I feel sorry for Miss Velma. I mean, I knew her daughter, Melanie, who passed away. And, you know, Melanie was an attorney. And sometimes I reflect on Melanie and I think about her. And I don't know what to say. I think Miss Velma's a special lady in more ways than one. That's probably the best way to just leave that. Yeah, Leslie said I can come to Vero Beach. You go, girl. Get my room ready. John says, also, what if they tell you to correct what you said about him? Again, John, when we actually get the judgment, we'll go through the judgment because there's nothing for me to correct. The judge has made it clear that he was not concerned about whether what I said was true or not. And the truth, apparently, if it is the truth, as a judge, that wasn't his business if it's true or not, has the potential to harass someone. So there's nothing for me to correct. So no, the court hasn't said anything like that. There's absolutely nothing to be corrected. It is what it is. There's, you know what I'm saying? It stands. I mean, the video would have only been instructed to be taken down because it's potentially still harassing him. So they're trying to say the misuse of the ICT, using the internet. You know, so the argument then is, well, you can't allow the video to stay up if that's what supposedly. So I have Flow people saying, oh, can you remove me from your list? Just to be clear, you're not on our list. This is an attack from somebody else. And if you looked at the email, you could probably see exactly who it's coming from. And it's definitely not us. So I'm just informing this person that they really need to speak to Flow about this. This is not a CMR issue. We have nothing to do with it. And the attack is happening from the Flow servers. It's just that they are using and pretending like this message is coming from CMR when it isn't. It says, the headline says, breaking news, reopening of borders. And I just had Troy Jacob, Notary Public of the Cayman Islands, claiming that he hasn't asked to be on this list. Troy, wise up, folks. Look at the actual email that it's coming from. It's not us. You need to contact Flow. Yes. So they're hitting a lot of the anything with a .ky, but basically any Candawacky email addresses, they seem to be going after. So I even got one from Britgay Pensions, 123 Travel. Remember that defunct company not paying people's pension? So yeah, folks, if you are with Flow today, you're being spammed, and it appears to be coming from us, but it isn't. So do not message us, please, about removing you from a list because you're not in any of our list. So we can't remove you from a list that you're not on. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So I have one from a Mary Scotland here. Hi, Miss Mary. Again, you're not in our list. So it's not us. People are easily fooled here, folks. So if someone works with Flow, they may want to let them know. There's even one here for Jake Scott. So I think a lot of these are inactive accounts. So I don't know. Some look like they're even government accounts. Somebody got idle into the night. All right, good people. So yeah, hopefully, John, that explains things a little bit better for you. There's nothing to correct. There's nothing to discuss. There's nothing. Yeah. Chance says, love the new intro to the show. I, for one, know how strong your back is. Stay strong, my girl. Thank you, Chance. Lynette says he can't help himself. He's been doing this for years. Like I said, I'm happy to expose him. Happy you exposed him. Have a great weekend, Sandra. Thank you. Remy, what did you miss? Remy, hello, darling. How are you? Someone's asking about Remy's name, and he says it's Portuguese. And Remy is from Goa, which is off the coast of India. Is that right, Remy? It's an island. So he's an island boy, and now he's a Caymanian, so he's a double island boy. So Remy is also a chef. And yeah, he's an awesome chef. I love Remy's food. Remy, hook me up. Anytime, I'll be a taste tester for Remy. I'm just like, Goya. So yes, they were ruled by the Portuguese, not the British. Lucky you. So Remy's name looks it kind of has that Portuguese and Spanish flavor to it. So yes, that's where his name comes from. Remy and my husband have this ongoing joke because they kind of look alike a little bit. And so he always says that sorry, I'm just trying to get my web guy. I don't think there's anything that we can do about the spam email, to be honest. Unfortunately, the receivers just have to know that it's actually not coming from us at all. Okay. Yes, thank you, Lynette. And every time people speak out and they confirm that what I've said was the truth about individuals, it certainly makes people understand that I stand on a premise or a foundation of being honest. The show's called The Cold Hard Truth. And if you don't like the cold hard truth, and you know what's amazing? It's so easy for you to stay off of CMR, The Cold Hard Truth. You just got to do the right thing. So it's quite easy. I don't know what Coco's up to this morning. Coco's up to some shenanigans here, but yeah, it's how hard can it be, really, to not be predatory? Coco wants to look out the window. She's like, can I see what's going on outside today? I'm incredibly bored. So, the police have time. Maybe they can spend some time arresting this person who's created this website, KBRAC Free Zone. It's a Facebook page, actually. And this is what they post on their page. Suggestive photos of young girls. It's disgusting. And so this is going viral this morning. It's not the first time that this person has created this type of page. And I've reported others in the past, and apparently Facebook says it does not go against their policy. So, there you have it. Even Facebook is protecting predators. I know what it is with Facebook, though. Facebook is often, what's the word I'm looking for? It is, when you do a report, the person who reviews the report is the person. It's a computer. It's an algorithm system or whatever. So you're not getting to a real person to say, why would somebody do this? This is disgusting. This is someone who's clearly disturbed, who looks like they could be a pedophile. And, that's what they're doing. It's really disturbing because I've seen some of the other pages as well. So, so listen, you guys know, I believe in a little bit of tongue in cheek of a situation. Miss Coco, Miss Coco, Miss Coco. Hello, madam. If you want to be on the hard, cold truth, you don't have to go looking out the window. You can just come here and say hi to everybody. Say hi. Coco got a haircut recently. She's such a funny dog. Miss Coco, what's the problem? I want you to say hi to everyone. I got to hope she's not as light as she used to be. She's got there she is. Isn't she adorable? Say hi. Coco, say hi. Say hi, Cayman Malroad. What's up? Say I'm barking because I see something out the window that has my attention. Whew, Coco, you put on some weight. Oh my gosh. Coco's got that senior citizen middle section thing going on that you guys know happens to the best of us. But Coco's such a sweet dog. We've had Coco now for over 10 years. Coco's like my CMR sidekick. She's been here way before CMR, and she's such a sweet dog. You know, she's one of the best. No, I'm going to say, honestly, she could be the very best dog I've ever had. But then I say that about every dog. You know, every dog I've had is like, oh my gosh, this dog's the best dog. Because they all have very different personalities. But Coco has been, oh my gosh, she's so amazing with my daughter. From the day we brought the baby home, she would sit underneath her crib all the time when she was napping or when she was in the crib. And you could tell that Coco is going to be such a little, like, protective little dog. And she is now tolerated my daughter hugging her too hard, pulling on her ears, pulling her by the collar, all with the perfect temperament. Like, I could not have asked for a better dog to be around a baby and a toddler. Coco is just so amazingly sweet. She seems to hardly get agitated, but we teach our dog, you know, our daughter, that you've got to respect Coco because not everything you do, Coco likes. And so we try to we you know, we try to teach Coco respect for all living creatures, although not Coco, sorry. I'm thinking of the wrong daughter. We try to teach Gigi respect for living creatures, although she's like every creature, whether it's a lizard, bugs, whatever, a frog. I want to keep it. I want to keep it. Keep it inside. I'm just like, you guys know I don't like bugs. I don't like insects. And I'm just like, listen, honey, these things, the frog has a family and it needs to be outside with its family. The lizard has a family, so let's get the lizard outside. Every little critter, she's like, oh, can I keep it? And she starts crying because she wants to keep all of these things inside my house. And I'm just like, oh my Lord. So we've kept, we had a crab inside one day that she managed to put a leash on. She'd walk around the house with the crab. And Coco was just like, what is going on around here? She has had lizards. We have found, I refuse to allow the frogs to come inside. What else has she brought in that has been, oh, like the little soldier crabs. One time we found a Hecate that she brought in for a couple days and then we let it go. So yes, it's kind of funny that my daughter, I mean, you know, like I said, I love animals, but I prefer four-legged animals over critters that have like 8 legs or more or whatever. So yes, John, that's Miss Coco. Lisa says she's also working in her midsection. Well, you and Coco both and myself all need to do that. But Coco has a good life. She's an indoor dog, obviously. So she's probably not getting as much exercise as she can. But Coco's over 10 years old now. And I must say, for a dog that's over 10, she jumps up on furniture. She has no problem. She's very agile. She could probably lose. You know what is so weird with Coco though? When we take her to the vet, she weighs more or less the same, but it just feels more solid. So it's like how we always talk about there's different types of fat. I feel like that middle age spread is a different type of fat as well. But yeah, Coco is, I think we've given her a good life. She's just the sweetest little dog. John says, and we miss them so much when they're gone. Oh my God, John, can I tell you something? I have cried. I remember when my dog Oscar died. Oscar and Rupert. Rupert died first. And then within a month of Rupert dying, Oscar died on my birthday. And I remember crying like a baby. Like when I tell you, I cried when the doctor was like, we're going to have to put Rupert down. I had both of these dogs from when they were like probably 8 weeks old. And it was just one of the most difficult things that I've ever had to go through in my life because I really loved, these are dogs that when I came to Cayman, I brought them with me. People are like, why are you bringing your dogs? Just leave your dogs. I'm like, would you leave your kid if you're moving? Like, I didn't understand what people were trying to say to me. I'm like, no, you can't just leave your dog. I do understand that there might be extraordinary circumstances, but for me, it was just a matter of doing the paperwork, getting all the shots done. And that was not really a big deal considering I had loved these dogs when they were little puppies. And so, yeah, I'm just like, I'm not leaving my dog. But yes, and you know what is so interesting is when a dog passes away, you feel like, I don't want another dog. I don't want to go through this loss again. But something opens up in your heart that you have to have another dog. And the funny thing is, the reason why I have Coco is because when I was accused of, when I was accused of stealing this dog, and eventually the police took it and gave it back to the owner, and it eventually ran away multiple times after that. It kind of made me think, because my dogs, like I said, had died. I was like, nope, I'm not getting another dog. And then it kind of made me think, you know what? I really miss having a dog. Like, they're such fantastic company. And they've got the cutest little personalities. And so the reason why I got Coco, and also I was helping out a friend. Someone had moved overseas and couldn't take Coco with them. They'd moved to the UK and they couldn't take Coco. And then another lady had Coco. And she was like, oh, there's something I think that happened where she wanted Coco, like she needed a place for Coco to stay for the weekend or something. And Coco's like the easiest dog in the world to fall in love with. She's just so incredibly sweet. So after that, I acquired her. I purchased her from the previous owner. So Charlene says she and Toby, her dog, I guess, are the same age. So yeah, Coco's birthday is in May. And this year she would have been 11. And I've had her because I got it when she was like 8 months. Good morning, Marshall. What's up? Louis says supervision is needed with children and dogs. It's simple. As an adult, we pick up the dog's body language before the child ever will. So their space is important to understand, even though they want to be with us. Just a little advice. It's free. Absolutely, Louis. 100%. And I also try to encourage my daughter to pay attention to Coco because she doesn't always get it. And, she's like, why is Coco running away from me? I'm like, that's because Coco needs a break. Leave Coco alone. So yeah, there are times when we put Coco in the utility room just so that Coco can get a break from Gigi, because Gigi can be a lot to handle. But yes, Marshall, you're right. They are definitely a part of our family. And yeah, losing them is, they've shown this scientifically that losing a dog is the same as losing a loved one because they are family members to many of us. And I think it will be hard, heaven forbid anything ever happens to Coco. When it does happen, I should say, it's going to be even harder than usual because then you have to try to explain it to a child. Like, where is Coco gone? What has happened to Coco? Have you guys ever seen that movie, A Dog's Life? I think is what it's called. And it's kind of like about how dogs get reincarnated, so to speak. Um, so yes, I think that it's it's what it is. All right, folks, the time is 8:51 a.m. Did you hear that President Trump is continuing his tirade? Louis has 5 dogs, and he says dog management is always my job daily. Wow, that's a whole family of dogs. I don't think I can handle. I've had 2. That's the most I've ever had at one time, and yeah, they are a handful. Even together as a team, like when I had Oscar and Rupert, you could not take Oscar out without Rupert. So like if one wasn't feeling well and I had to take just one to the vet, the other one would get so depressed. Like by the time they came back, just the way that they greeted each other, you would swear that they were like separated for years when it had only been like an hour or 2 or whatever. But yes, that's just how they are. So Eden is commenting on my personal page, and Eden says, "Good morning, Sandy. So Matt skates by. Now is when justice gets exercised. Godspeed to you, Sandy. Truth will come out." So yeah. Well, he hasn't skated by yet. I mean, he's pled not guilty, so I guess he will go to court and have his day. Jake says that if I go to jail, I can probably even help some of the ladies in there. So there's always that silver lining, folks. And he says, if that happens, which I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, you'll come out and run a store in Fairbanks and what it's like and any issues in there. Good morning, Tracy. Tracy's joining us from Canada. Thank you, Tracy, for tuning in. Yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm not worried. There's so many worse things that could happen in terms of even if I ultimately went to jail, I somehow feel like that probably wouldn't be the worst. I mean, you know, we have one of the best prisons, supposedly. I need to get in there, see what's going on, but supposedly one of the best prison systems in the world. It's not like I'm going to prison in a third world country. They're going to feed me and I'm going to exercise and I'll get my hair braided for free probably and all sorts of good things. John is a cat person. He says that he's got a cat that acts like a dog. He brings me the keys. What? And tells me someone is at the door. That is so funny. Louis says the best family to have are dogs. Experience of pure love comes from our dogs. Now, John, I need to see this cat of yours because can I tell you, some cats are like that though. Some cats are they have a very interesting personality of their own. So, I'm trying to see what my web guy is saying here. Sorry, guys. He's trying to send me some information on how we can address this issue. So, yeah. All right. So we're going to investigate that. Lisa says, I have a story about my son's dog. I never knew that I could love a dog like a child. Of course you can. My son got a dog from his father, and that dog loved my son so much. He would know when he came off the taxi and would go out to meet him. He was sick and had to be put down, but it was very emotional. and we all love him as family. Yeah, listen, dogs are amazing. They have saved people's lives. We've got service dogs that serve as emotional support animals. If you have never owned a dog, and honestly, I personally think dogs should be inside. The elements are too much for dogs. I think that they should be inside with your family, and they really do become part of your family. And at the end of the day, they are just such amazing creatures. So, yes, they will go to the bus stop and meet your kids. I've noticed that, say, for example, it's just me and Coco at home, and my daughter or my husband go out for the evening or whatever. Coco's going to go by the front door and she's going to wait for them to come home because she understands that members of her pack are missing. She's like, where is everybody else? Like, she only gets really super relaxed once everyone is at home. And she'll just sit there by that front door waiting and waiting, no matter who comes in. If somebody comes to visit me, she'll get up and, greet them or whatever in the usual fashion. But then she goes right back to the door and she's waiting for Gigi to come home. So, yeah, they're very smart and protective, and some dogs are smarter than others. Like, I tell you no lie, my dog Rupert, who was a lab mix, was the smartest dog I've ever had. Now, the funny thing about Rupert is I never knew that a dog could have a conscience until I got Rupert. Let me explain what I mean by that. So Oscar was just smaller. He was only like 35 pounds. He's really skinny, but he was easy to potty train, no accents, no issues. But Oscar was a little bit of a passive aggressive person. Dog. You guys know what I mean. So some of the things that Oscar would do, like if he was upset with you, he would come and like pee by your leg kind of on purpose kind of thing. Oscar was a dog that at the beach, I had to keep an eye on him. He'd go pee on people's towels. He would do the most to embarrass you. Like if you're a mom, that one kid that is going to act out when you go in public and you need to keep him on a short leash, literally, that was Oscar. He would go up to kids at the beach, at a picnic, knock food out of their hands, steal their food. Oscar was always in some kind of trouble. And, you just had to love him though. And then as he grew older, he had one tooth that kind of stuck out at the bottom. Like his jaw wasn't perfectly like I don't know that it was really the jaw, but the teeth, like he would have needed braces if he was a kid, right? So the teeth kind of did like this. And so one of the, what do they call, the canines or whatever, would kind of like stick out. And so he always kind of had this funny look in his face, but he had a lot of energy. He was one of the fastest dogs I've ever had. Boy, that dog could run. Like I swore, I'm like, Oscar must have, the greyhounds are naturally fast, right? They're very agile and they're very fast. I kind of felt like Oscar, who was a terrier mix. I'm like, Oscar has some kind of greyhound somewhere down the line because he was like a super fast dog. Rupert, on the other hand, he's about 65 pounds. I had Oscar first, and then I got Rupert a year later. So Oscar was always like the big brother kind of thing. He would literally sit back. This is how amazing dogs are. He would sit back and allow Rupert, the puppy, to eat all of the food, although I'd put out like 2 separate dishes. Rupert would eat one, and then he would go to the next dish. And Oscar would allow him to do that, and he would go without food. And he would just sit there and watch Rupert eat. I mean, dogs are just selfless. And, as Louis said, it's a privilege for us to own dogs. They are just amazing creatures. And so one summer, I went away for, I think it was like 10 days. This was before I moved back to the Cayman Islands. I had come here, and when I got back, my sister-in-law at the time was watching Oscar and Rupert for me. When I got back, I didn't even recognize Rupert. He wasn't like a little puppy anymore. I'm like, what happened to my dog? Because she didn't realize if she put out the food, the dog, Oscar, and she actually had an older dog, they would just sit there and let Rupert eat all the food. So Rupert was now not getting just 2 plates of food. He was getting 3 because the other dog would sit there and let him eat as well. And he literally in 10 days had like double his weight. I was just like, what did you do to my dog? It was unbelievable. Thank you, John. John says he's got to run. Have a great weekend. We just got a few minutes left in the program, so we're going to spend that talking about beautiful dogs. Thank you, John. I will remain strong. Enjoy your weekend as well. So, yes. And then there was another, there's something else I was going to type about. Oh, about how smart he was. So when I was potty training him, he had a hard time potty training with number two. He just couldn't hold it. You'd go out and you'd come back, you'd find an accident. So we were crating him and leaving him in his crate during the day, and he would like sleep in there. Sometimes even when you weren't crating him, but the crate door was open, he'd just go in there and like lie down and sleep. And but anytime he would have an accident, I would come home. I didn't have to go looking for the accident. The second I walked through the door, Rupert was like, his head was down and he was kind of like looking at you like, oh my gosh, I had an accident. I did something wrong. I'm so sorry. And it's almost like he wanted you to, I tell you, this is the truth. He wanted you to say, Rupert, bad dog. And then after that, he was fine. He would perk up again. He would greet you like normal. But if you didn't chastise him, it's like, he was like, I did something wrong. You have to tell me I've done something wrong. So that's what I'm thinking. This dog actually seems to have a conscience. I mean, it is the weirdest thing to say, right? But if a dog can have a conscience, does that mean that dogs have a soul? Or I mean, where is the cutoff line? But I'm telling you, Rupert had a conscience. And here we are dealing with humans who don't even have one. The other amazing thing about Rupert is he was so smart that anytime I would say the word beach, he knew what that meant. He was by the front door, ready to go to the beach, And so I thought, it can't be that this dog really knows the word beach. So we started to spell the word. Same thing with outside. If we said outside, he knew what outside meant. And he'd be by the front door waiting to go outside. So then I started to spell it. And this is what I used to do to trick Rupert, right? And just to test how smart he was. So I would say, I'd just be sitting there reading a book, watching TV, and randomly I would start spelling the word outside. And I would say O-U-T, and he would sit up and look. But if I didn't finish it, he didn't run to the door. So if I didn't say O-U-T-S-I-D-E, like the full word, so there are times I'd just be like sitting there reading and I'd say O-U-T, he'd jump up, his ears would perk up. He was a lab mix, he was waiting. And then I would just continue reading. I would stop and he would lie back or sit back down. But if I finished spelling it, he would run to the front door. Same thing with the word beach. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to say beach anymore. I'm just going to spell beach. And as sure enough, as I spelled it, he was running by the front door, ready to go to the beach. And these two dogs they were water dogs for sure. They loved the beach and they both were pretty good swimmers. Before we brought them here, we actually would take them to a lake in Florida in Riverview area and make them practice swimming. And one of the dogs, Oscar, was actually a diver. He used to dive under the ocean for rocks. And I never even knew that dogs could dive. So yeah, you have these amazing, I agree. John says we need a show on our pets. That would be pretty cool. Evelyn, don't even worry about that, child. We're not going to put any negative energy into that whole situation. Just stay tuned. We'll update you. Marshall says, I have one. His name is Tyson. He's just turned 2 in July. He's a Yorkie poo. Aw, totally awesome. And then if you, Marshall, we're not going to put any more negative energy into prison, but he does make a very interesting point. He says, if you do go to prison, you can get another degree for free. I'm just saying. Yes, I have been meaning to get that doctorate degree now for quite some time. So yes. Let me see. Okay. All right. So let me just see here. Yep. So yes, I think the doctorate on government Stein would be nice. Thank you, Olive, for that prayer. After I was recording yesterday, a woman stopped me and she was like, I've got some advice for you about how nothing will happen to you. And sometimes, like, I'm not into, like, I'm very careful about, like, what I put out there in terms of, like, messages. And she's like, no, 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 it's not voodoo or anything like that. I'm just like, well, I hope not. I'm not about that life. And, I do think that we all make decisions and there are consequences for those decisions. And, just like Mr. Leslie thinks that he's gotten away scot-free with all of the things that he has done, one day there will be a time of reckoning. And the reckoning happens a lot more swiftly in the country that he's in right now. So that should be interesting. My biggest prayer for him is he just continues being him and continues doing what he does, because that will make life so interesting. Louise says, if you never had the privilege of having a dog, you've never experienced pure love until you do. And I do agree with that. Marshall says they're smart and know when they do something bad. They really do. Anne says, I spent 5 months in Fairbanks, but got more than 3 meals a day, weekly medical checkups, yoga, gym access, library, tons of counseling, paid chores, and a partway got a degree in biology. What? All of that in $5? Girl, you were busy. You can make the most of a dire situation. It's the irony of reality that lacks support. Chin up and do the best regardless of what can be the worst. Girl, you were busy. 3 meals a day, weekly medical checkups, yoga, gym access, library, tons of counseling. Maybe that's what I need, is like prison boot camp to try and get the 25, 50 pounds off that I need to lose. Hello, I'm feeling it. So in typical CMR fashion, we do not take things too seriously in life. We're going to open up a little competition here between now and next week. So we are opening up a little bit of a competition here. I want you guys to submit your best prison meme. Okay. So we've got one that has been submitted already. And I'm going to show you guys what we mean by this. So whatever, you can do it like prison meme, convict meme, whatever. You got to learn how to laugh at yourself, folks. It's not all that serious. So I want you to create your best prison meme. I'm going to post this here shortly on CMR, and we will pick a winner out of all of the submissions. So send us your submissions. Here's one that we have. Make it funny. And this one says Cayman's most notorious convict found guilty. Sandra Hill convicted of misusing ICTA network, and then justice served. So look at how they put a little wig in me. Whoa, look at that one, man. I got on a wig and I'm in like handcuffs and I got the links around me. Yeah, boy, this one is legit good. So you got to come good, folks. Do your submissions. I'm going to put it up on the social media pages. A meme is where you take an image or you put together an image, whatever, and you just make it funny about convict life. So the only requirement is that it has to be funny. And of course, the topic is me going to jail, to prison, being Cayman's number one convict type thing. And so come good. Some of you are so creative that it is absolutely amazing what you could do. I haven't yet decided what the prize will be, so you'll have to bear with me in terms of that part of it. And then, we can take it from there. But yes, let's do it. And then we can take it from there. All right, so everybody with me? Everybody gets it? Laugh, people. Laughter is good for the soul. It's amazing. Big shout out to Gethin. Now, Gethin commented on the Compasses page about, oh, yes, Sandy Hill is a horrible person. Now, Gethin works for a company called CMZ. And Gethin was here in the Cayman Islands, got the benefit of coming here and using the system to quickly promote himself when he was less qualified than he admitted to being. And so he got into this company that they were a bunch of crooks themselves. I mean, the sanctions are there. So go to Offshore Alert and you can read the sanctions on their past owners and so forth. And so Gethin made this comment. Of course, we had to remind Gethin that he would have been the same CFO, the same chief financial officer, who was taking pension out of people's money at CMZ, which is, they owned Cashwiz at the time. And he was taking money out of people's pension and not paying it. So I was one of the persons who was working at CMZ and demanding that my pension money be paid. And because I did that, I guess that made me a horrible person. And he was also finagling the books at CMZ in order to try to get one of the previous owners convicted and sent to jail. And he was convicted to 30 plus years and sent to jail for defrauding people in some real estate scheme or whatever. And so Gethin was all embroiled into that and involved in that. And then the irony of it is the same man's son ends up hiring Gethin to continue to be the CFO when the company moved their headquarters to Florida. So isn't that amazing how someone can come on and say, oh, you're such a horrible person. Gethin, please, you must forget that I know precisely what you were doing and how you are abusing the system and abusing people. But again, you only got this opportunity because the Cayman Islands afforded you such a wonderful opportunity to make money like you've never seen before. So yes, and we know the score, baby. We know them. We know how they operate. And we have no qualms calling them out for it. And if that is a new norm for what is harassment, then we'll be harassing people every day, folks. And thank you so much. Lorna, thank you. I appreciate those words. And I want you guys to have a fabulous weekend. This is Fabulous Friday. So, you know, we're going to be launching Tech Thursdays. We're going to talk about all things technology. I want you guys to be able to tune into Tech Thursdays, where we learn different things about how to use technology, what's happening in the tech world. We're keeping an eye on a couple lead stories for you at the moment. And we will continue to educate. Knowledge is meant to be shared, whether it is knowledge about an individual that you need to keep an eye on in your community and not be scammed by, or if it's just general tech knowledge and information or business, Wednesdays that we have. We're hoping that Krista will be back with us soon and others focusing on their businesses. So stay tuned, folks. We will bring you all of those things right here on Cayman Mall Road. Have a beautiful and blessed weekend. Coco says bye to everyone. She stopped barking, you notice, but she's right here, sitting literally right next to me. She says hi to everyone and have a beautiful, wooful weekend.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.